Bishop Martin, W.C. Martin. I pastor Bennett Chapel Church in Possum Trot, Texas. A little small community, a little small church out in the woods. I've been there for about 39 years. I'm married. I got 6 children, and I got a host of grandchildren, and I got a few in layaway on their way here. They ain't made it here yet, but they're on their way. And I'm also a child advocate. I'm a voice for children that's having a hard time getting out of the system. My job is to go out and to stir the hearts of men and women all over this country to let them know how important it is for us to really reach out and get the children that's most vulnerable that need a home. Well, it wasn't something that I started out doing. I think the most part of it was a God movement that somebody has to be a voice for the children. And because of what we did in our church, in the movement that we made in our church, that we have 23 families who adopted 77 children. And it stirred the heart of people throughout this nation to see how on earth and why would a little church out in the woods would do something of this nature. Well, my story about that is that God don't have to come to the big thing. He take the small thing and make big things out of it. That's just the way he works and the way he operates. And who would have ever thought of that he would come all the way out there to do something of this nature when you got Main Street churches? We don't even have McDonald's and all that stuff down there, dirt roads and all that stuff. But I really and truly believe that it's not where you are, but it's what you're doing. And God was pleased with our effort of what we've done and what we are doing, because it keep on going. It's not over. We got a finish line that we are trying to complete the job that what God wants to do. It is because of the fact no other entity on this earth that was ordained by God other than the church. The church failed the children miserably. James 1:27 said, pure religion is undefiled, that God accepts, that we take care of widows and the orphanage. And we have messed it up. The government stepped in and taken it out of the church hand. And while the church was building buildings and trying to make everything look so fancy, children was going in the system. And what has happened, we taken our eyes off of the main thing, and that was the children. If this country don't do something, if the church as a whole don't do something about this process, when we get too old, we can't cut no more mustard. This country gonna self-destruct. So we need to start right now. It's getting children involved, whereas they can carry on the legacy that's had already been started. So I believe, since the church has been ordained by God to carry out every mission on this earth, I think that it was God's intention for the church to be the main one to lead the charge in this, and we're not doing it. But Bennett Chapel is showing the church what we ought to be doing, regardless of where you are, what you have or what you don't have. We don't have nothing out in the woods, nothing just at the church. But you got churches on the main street, got everything going on. But I keep hearing the voice of God saying, what about the children? We got so involved in getting grants and all that kind of stuff, we overlook them children need a home. They need a mother and a father. And we need to stop saying how bad they are. What do you expect from a child that never been taught nothing? What do you expect from a child that never had a mother, never had a father, nobody to teach them, nobody to tell them, what do you expect? They're going to act out only way they know how. And that's being disruptive, disobedient, hard-headed. Yes, all that go, because the way I look at it, when I was coming up, I was hard-headed. I've done stuff I shouldn't have done. My mama told me no, I said yeah. Of course, I had to pay the price for it, because there was a woodshed time that we had to go and sit down and talk. But for the main part of it, though, God wants the church now to lead the charge. 400,000 children in the system. Churches on every corner. What are you doing? And whether you like it or not, I'm talking to the pastors, the leaders, whether you like it or not, but God got an indictment against the church because we have not fulfilled his promise. I really believe, if you look at it, and I thought about this the other day, there was 400,000 people that was brought out of Egypt. We got 400,000 children in the system. There's a deliverance coming. It is a deliverance coming. The devil can't stop it. The government can't stop it, because God is in charge of it. And what we're going to have to do is stand up. All churches ought to be standing up and being a voice for the children. There should not be a child waiting on a home. There ought to be a home waiting on a child. So we got it all confused. These children, homes everywhere ought to be waiting on a child to come in. Not that a child, we got so many children and we don't know what to do with them. All we got to do is just get up, roll up our sleeve, let's go to work. Let's empty that system out. We are making a definite movement to bring hundreds and thousands of children out of the system. So it ought to bother every last human being that have the love of God. It should do something to your heart to see a child that's suffering and you don't do anything about it. That ought to be something for all of us to rethink possibilities. And the first thing that you can do is say, what can I do to help in this situation? Because we all know that everybody can do something to help in the process. But the thing of it is, how many are willing to do something and come out of this comfort zone? So I think that it basically, God needed a voice for the children. And here I said, I'm kind of like Isaiah. Here am I, send me. I do it. I mean, I don't care, because I'm going to stand up and be a voice for the children and let everybody know it's time for the church to rise above it all. One of my favorite passage scriptures in the book of Romans 8:28. And it said, and we know all things work together for the good, working for those who love the Lord according to his purpose. Anybody that you cannot, first of all, you cannot have any fear, because fear is not of God. God has not given us this spirit of fear. So if God didn't give us the spirit of fear, where did it come from? And what fear does, fear keeps us from operating in the spirit and carrying out the will of God. So you cannot look at fear and say, I can't do this. I tell you what's not in the Bible. Can't is not in the Bible. But can is in the Bible. I can do all things through Christ Jesus. We just going to have to take the word of God, the power of God, erase fear out of our mind. Hey, look, we in the country. And I mean, if anybody ought to be fearful of folks in the country, but in cause, well, we don't have this, we can't do this, we can't. I mean, anybody, but that didn't move us. We didn't look at what we didn't have. We worked on what we had. Number one, we had each other. Number two, we had the love of God. Number three, it wasn't like we had these fine jobs. I mean, we had the job that we have down there, just, didn't pay it $30,000 and $40,000 a year. But that's not it. That's not it. If we had to look at all of the particulars of why we shouldn't do this, we wouldn't have did it. But that wasn't what we done. We moved all of that out of the way and said, God is going to make a way. We don't know how, don't know when, don't know where, but God is going to make a way. So this is how we've been so successful in doing this. I've looked at it like this. The first law of nature is self first. The first law of grace is other first. And Jesus demonstrated that to us. So it helps you. It will change your life completely. And it will also make you feel even more of being who you are. Because here's a child that you had nothing to do with. Totally nothing to do with. And bringing that child into your home and to teach that child the love of God. Don't you know that God is going to honor you for that? Don't you know God is going to supply the rest of things that you need in order for you to do that? This is so amazing. So it made me more stronger. It opened my eyes up to reality of what should be done and what we need to do as a people and what I need to do as a pastor. Encourage my people. Let's get that. Let's fix this thing. Let us fix it. We got less than, on any given Sunday, I got 20, 30, 40 members in the church. But that's not it. It ain't what you got. It's what you're doing. Let God supply what you need in order for you to do what you need to do. And He will do that. So what it done, it really, really, really opened my heart up. Because I really didn't know all of this was going on. But I'll tell you one thing. When I found out, I told the devil, I said, you gotta fight on your hand, brother. Because me and you finna go down. We finna get down and get this thing worked out. And we did. And so far, we have not lost a case yet. Never give up. We have always been taught that a loser never wins and a winner never loses. You cannot give up because God never gave up on us. The Bible said while we were yet in sin, Christ died for us. We cannot give up. Yes, it's going to be hard. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you got a piece of cake. It's not going to be that way. And I think about sometimes all that I had to go through for the Lord to get me where I am. It was so much God had to break me to get me where I am. And what God had to happen here, you got to use some wisdom. You got to have some knowledge. You got to have an understanding. A lot of these problems that the children have, if they are fixable, they are not problems that you say, well, I'm not going to. No. Deal with the problem. Deal with them. Sit down, talk with them. Let them know how much God loved them. Let them know how much you love them. Let them know how much they got great potentials in their life. They can be something. They can go somewhere. They don't have to settle for status quo in their life. They got a life that they can flourish. And you cannot tell them what they can't be. You got to tell them what they can be. In other words, you got to plan their life ahead of time. You got to let them know who they are. I realize that you done been through this, you done been through that. Hey, look, but that's over with. Let's erase all of that. Let's get on a new path now. And this is what you need to do from this day forward in order to get you where you need to go. Let's lay out a pattern for them to follow. Don't just tell them that, hey, look, you can, don't do that. But show them, demonstrate to them some things that they can do. Because one thing I love about God, He gonna never leave you by. He would never leave you by yourself. He gonna always provide you with some things that you need in order to accomplish His will. God does not cash out God. And when you're doing the will of God, He's gonna give you the ability and the anointing to be able to accomplish His will. Well, I just want people to understand. Don't look at our children as something awful. Don't look at them like that. Don't look at them as they are something that's going to destroy your life. Don't look at them like that. They are children. And they are God children that He allowed to be here. All of us weren't fortunate enough to have great parents that taught us and did this and did that. And a lot of us that had great parents, we still messed up. So let's not look at them like that. Look at them as a child that God allowed to be here. And the church, if the parents could not and did not do what they need to do for the children, God always got plan B. And we are the plan B. To step in, open our hearts, our homes, and bring them in and love them through the process. I understand the word said love conquers all, and it will. And that's the one thing they have not had. In the movie, we had a young lady by the name of Terry, my daughter. She just felt unwanted. She acted out because she didn't really understand or didn't understood what love was all about it, because it never was presented to her. When you've been abused and left alone and abandoned, what do you know? Nothing. So then, in due season, she had to change, and she was broken. And when she was broken, that's when the change began. If you see the movie, you're going to see she done every conceivable thing she could. She wanted somebody to kick out because that's what she was used to. But God had another plan for her life. And so did we. We was not going to give up on her. And everything that you saw about her acting like a cat, that was a fact. She did that. But it don't take long when you're putting the right stuff out in front of them. It don't take long for God to give you some tools to use to change their mindset. The statistics say the first 5 years of your life is whatever you do in the first 5 years is what you're going to be. I disagree with that. That's what statistics say. They got proven facts. It don't matter. You can be grown and God can come in and change your life. That's why I don't agree with it. I'm just saying this. The change can happen when someone demonstrates the change. If it's going to be hard, yes it is. Is it going to be challenging? Yes it is. But for the most part, I believe this, that God will give you the mind and the ability to accomplish everything He set before you. That's just my belief. And I'm a living witness, and I'm living proof. It will happen, and it can be done.